Vapers aren't stupid. They know that if they go around cloud chasing, as we call it, they are going to get vaping banned in public places.
You're still smoking nicotine.
That's absolute nonsense. It's not smoke, for heaven's sake. Why do you call it smoking?
Nicotine is a toxic substance.
New York State has introduced a new law that bans vaping in public in indoor places. It means that e-cigarettes can't be used in restaurants, bars and offices where conventional smoking, of course, has also been prohibited.
It comes amid growing fears over the long-term impact the devices could have on users' health. And we chatted to people on the streets of New York to find out what they think of the new ban.
Well, it's definitely a little better, but it still is chemical. In my opinion, it should be banned.
I mean, I realize that the vapor is different than the tobacco smoke. On the other hand, we don't know the full details of what that smoke actually contains. I just think it's a health hazard and it shouldn't really be pushed on me if it can be avoided.
There's research that there's harmful chemicals in it as well, so I think it's a good idea for the city to ban it.
Well, the four we spoke to unanimously agree that it's the right thing to do, but should the UK follow suit? Joining us now is Simon Clark, director of the pro-smoking organisation Forest, who says vaping should not be banned, and Nilofer Atiq, an ex-smoker who is in favour of a vaping ban. Let's start with you, Simon, because, of course, the people that we heard there in New York are all being very positive about it. They absolutely agree that this ban should be in place. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think America is very different to the UK because in America they've had a very anti-vaping culture for some time now. I think in this country we're rather more liberated when it comes to vaping, and we see the benefits that vaping brings to many, many smokers. There are a lot of smokers who do want to quit, just as, of course, there are many people who want to keep on smoking. But if you want to quit, vaping is quite a good way of going about it. In the last 4 years, there's been quite a dramatic drop in smoking rates in this country. And that has coincided with an explosion in the number of people who've switched to vaping. So it would be completely ludicrous to ban it in public places.
Nilofer, we've got lots of people getting in touch with us. Kate mentioned Neil before we went to the local news. Karen also says, vaping has stopped me smoking for almost 5 years. I smoke 40 cigarettes a day. I'm not taking unpaid smoking breaks at work. I don't stink of smoke anymore. I'm not in the doctors with a bad chest. I don't agree it should be banned here. And clearly, it has made a big difference to a lot of people's lives.
Well, it's been banned in many countries already, and with good reason. People say that it's less harmful than cigarettes. Maybe so, but it doesn't mean to say it's not harmful. And while you say, Simon, a lot of people have given up smoking, a lot more people have taken up vaping. What's the difference? You're still smoking. You're still smoking nicotine.
That's absolute nonsense. It's not smoke, for heaven's sake. Why do you call it smoking?
Nicotine is a toxic substance. It damages fetuses. It causes brain damage and has been shown to cause developmental damage in people's brains under the age of 20. It's a toxic, addictive drug. You are still smoking.
So it's caffeine, though, isn't
Exactly.
it? And a lot of people have said that it is about as harmful as coffee, which we don't ban.
But if I'm having a cup of coffee, I'm not forcing somebody else next to me to have a cup of coffee. I've sat in cafes with my 1-year-old son, and people have sat there vaping next to me. They give off, a lot of smoke, and my son is ingesting that smoke.
That's not true for the vast majority of vapers.
He hasn't got a choice. If you want to harm your own health, by all means do it. Don't harm the health of other people, particularly children.
You talk about clouds of vapour. Only a very small minority of vapors behave like that. It's called cloud chasing.
Actually, that's not true.
There are some different sorts of gadgets, aren't there? There are some, the original ones that came onto the market, which you could barely see any vapour. In fact, a lot of people didn't notice it. Now you get ones that are huge.
See, these
look
are
at
examples.
These big clouds of them. I wonder if one of the answers is to look at the actual devices, because these are enormous amounts of smoke.
No, the whole point is we want a range of devices because you've got to offer the consumer choice. But there are people who can stealth vape, and vapers aren't stupid. They know that if they go around cloud chasing, as we call it, they are going to get vaping banned in public places. And the overwhelming majority of vapers know not to do that, and they stealth vape. And they can vape very subtly so that you are not aware of it. And we hear about, the smell of vaping. We don't like the smell. Well, if you don't like the smell, we'll end up banning perfume. We'll end up banning
Ollie
deodorants
Murr's got
and all the
into
rest
trouble
of
in
it.
the vapors today for his aftershave.
But again, there are e-liquids that don't give off any odour at all. So people can vape very, very quietly without inconveniencing other people. There needs to be live and let live here.
Is that the point? No. So obviously smoking isn't good for you. Obviously nicotine isn't good for you. But a lot of people have had a lot of success in giving up smoking. I know you gave up without it, but a lot of people have had a lot of success.
Are they giving up
It's
smoking?
been better. Well, a lot of statistically, a lot of people
instead.
are. Well, but it's still, they're reducing the risk. So is it about, and I wonder if you banned it and made people go and stand outside, the temptation to go back to smoking would be greater?
No, because after we introduced a smoking ban in this country, there were a lot fewer smokers.
Not
It's
true.
making it.
Not
is
true.
true. It's
It had
making
hardly any impact
Can you
on
let me
smoking
finish?
rates
It's
at all.
making it harder for people to smoke, not easier. Smoking is an addiction. Whether you choose to do it through a pen or a cigarette, okay, there might be fewer carcinogens in an e-cigarette. However, you don't know what you're buying when you're buying an e-cigarette online. There could be all sorts of harmful chemicals you don't know about. It's not regulated.
Simon, one of the other issues as well is the message that we have from Lisa that I read out, and Kate sort of aligned these vapes as like the alcohol pops, things that are inspiring and being very
They appeal
attractive to
to children.
teenagers. Her 14-year-old is constantly asking to vape and for a vape because
Probably
his
because
friends,
they think it's a safe version of
and
smoking.
but his friends at school are doing it as well, and that's the thing, isn't it? You're getting the sense that the way the marketing is going and the way that we're talking about vaping now, that actually it's quite good for you. It's not going to do any harm.
Well,
actually
I don't. Hang on. Let me get a word in
That must-
edgeways.
That's something that must be a concern for you.
Well, nobody wants to see children smoking and probably not vaping as well. But if you
Probably not.
Well, probably not, in the sense that if I've got children, for example, and I wouldn't want them as teenagers to smoke. But if there's a choice between smoking and vaping, surely you would suggest that probably vaping is by far the better thing to do, because children are always going to experiment. And there is no evidence, for example, that children are using vaping as a gateway to tobacco, so there's no risk there. We really need to hammer down on this whole nicotine aspect, though. Nicotine's potentially addictive, yes. But as Kate said, nicotine is perceived as no more harmful than caffeine, and we don't ban caffeine. And, you know, we've got to get away from this whole idea that nicotine is a dangerous drug. It simply isn't. For many people, it's simply a perk-me-up drug that gets them going in the morning and everything. And so we've got to move away from this and accept that there will always be people who want to experiment, try different things. And for a lot of people, vaping is something they get a lot of pleasure out of, they enjoy
Just
it,
very
and it
quickly.
helps them quit
How about
smoking.
Very
appeal
quickly,
for
though, just
children?
1 second. Very quickly, though, for a long time, doctors recommended normal cigarettes as being good for you, and then the evidence came out 200 years later it wasn't. We're in the very early days of e-cigarettes. We don't really know.
It is
do
very
we?
true, but we've got to have evidence-based policy. Now, at the moment, Public Health England and the Royal College of Physicians, they say that vaping is 95% less harmful than smoking cigarettes. So why would any policymaker introduce a ban on vaping in public places? It would be totally ridiculous.
OK, unfortunately, we're out of time. Niloufer, I know you're desperate to come back, but we don't have any more time, but we do appreciate you coming in. That's Niloufer Atiq, who is an ex-smoker, who's in favour of vaping ban, and Simon Clark from Forest, who is pro-smoking organisation, of course. Thank you for joining us.